So today is 24th of September. It's a Tuesday. No, it's not. It's a Wednesday. And it is the second day of my fight camp. Just wanted to prove to the people that I'm doing it. And I'm doing something outside of work. And life's good. But I don't have anything to say. I think one of the best things about what I do personally for me is that there's always so much going on, and I am someone who requires to constantly be busy. And the evolution of where I've become now at Blues and Greens is that I can always be busy if I want to be busy, but I can always be busy doing things that actually matter. And I think there's a difference between being busy to prove to yourself that you're being productive versus actually being productive. And I love the fact that every new week, every new day has an opportunity to spend time for me doing something which will make an impact, which will move the needle forward, which will keep me happy and stimulated. And where I'm at right now is there's so many things that are just coming together, and it feels as though I've been, pouring water into the funnel, and now the funnel's just getting down to the end where all these things that I've been pondering, ideas that I've been throwing around, and brainstorms that have been created, and dreams and visions that I've been having are now beginning to take shape and come together, and chess pieces are starting to move. And it's an old Steve Jobs quote, which I live by and I love. And
you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards.
Now all the things which maybe didn't make sense in the moment are beginning to make sense and take shape. And there's never been a more important time in a world where there is so much resources, so much AI, so many opinions. The most important thing you can possibly do is listen to your gut and listen to your intuition and follow a path that matters to you. And right now, things are screaming at me and things are making sense, and just continuing to listen to that voice inside me, to follow my heart, follow my intuition, and then everything else will take care of itself. And I say that because it's been proven. And I'm reminding myself that I'd imagine next year, next month, in 10 years, as the world continues to develop, AI will have more and more control and power over decision making. YouTubers like myself, mentors, whoever else, but the person who knows best will always be the person that you look at in the mirror. And the more you train yourself to listen, keep listening to that voice inside you, the louder that voice will become. Windy. So then I went down and watched out with them. I went out to the nightclubs on Saturday night sober. Yeah, it was fun, eh? It was like very it was I was getting a lot of dopamine out of it, just watching people just go about their nights, and yeah, it was great. I think with every new person now that steps into Blues and Greens, or even wants to put their trust into Blues and Greens as like an employee, it just becomes so surreal. So I just had a meeting there with someone who's already in Blues and Greens but looking to step into a full-time role, and a conversation around fear of making that jump, feeling a little bit risky for someone. It's not your traditional workplace, it's not your traditional safe and stable corporate environment, and it's so crazy and so surreal that people look at me, look at the mission, look at Blues and Greens and where we're going, and say, I trust this guy, I back what he's about, I love where they're going, I want to be a part of that, and put their livelihood into our mission, into Blues and Greens. And yes, I understand it's fearful for them, it's fearful to put their livelihood on the line, but I hold this massive lever of fear as well, not in a negative way, but it's like the fear of that every single new person that becomes involved and relies on what Blues and Greens provides for their livelihood is another layer of fear of like, I've got to show up for them. And I think every good decision, freedom, opportunity, abundance of love, happiness, purpose, satisfaction requires a consistent level of uncertainty or fear. And if it doesn't feel like the jump is scary, if it doesn't feel like the decision you're making has a sense of uncertainty or risk, then it's probably not worth the jump. And there's always going to be a gap. And that gap is where the fear exists. And it's like, you can do all you can to slightly close that gap to make the jump not feel as big. But there's got to be a jump, there's got to be a gap, because if there is no jump, if it's just a smooth step over, then it's not worth taking the step. So I think I'm just doing, a bit of reflection of like, it's just so surreal to be in a position of responsibility where people trust in me, in Blues and Greens, in the mission enough that they want to put their full-time livelihood into what we're about. And these are people who care about me as a human. These are people who knew me when it was nothing, when this didn't exist. And I'll never take that for granted. But I'll also appreciate the fear that I feel, the sense of responsibility that I feel, but use as a way to like be more driven and more motivated than ever.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars.
Today I had a 15-year-old ask me a question. And the question was, is there anything I regret? And I had to think for a while. And what I realized, or what I framed it to him as, was, I don't regret anything, because I have so much faith and belief that every single thing that happened to me, everything that I did, every person that entered and exited my life, every decision I made is just a piece, a block to who I am today. And as I sit here today, like, I'm so happy with who I am, and I truly and wholly believe that each moment, each little dot, big dot, small dot, whatever it may be, played a role in where I am and what I do and who I am. Although there are things that I did, things that I said, a version of me who I was, that I most certainly wouldn't do now, wouldn't say now, wouldn't be now. But that's not to say I've regretted anything, that's just to say that I've grown. And why I can hold so strongly on not having regret is because I think regret comes from the decisions you don't make, the steps you don't take, rather than those that you do. And something I've evolved into as of late, a lot stronger and a lot more religiously, is listening to my intuition, taking those steps, making those decisions based on what I want to do. So how could I possibly regret something? I'll take the step, I'll run into the wall, I'll fall flat on my ass, and I'll say, hey, I won't do that again. But it's not regret, it's rather just like learning, growing and evolving. And as I sit here and watch the sunset out of my apartment window in Melbourne, living a life I could only have ever dreamt of, how could I possibly ever sit here with regret? So I'm going to keep doing what lights me up. I'm going to keep following the voice inside me that's telling me to go left when everyone goes right. And that way I can promise myself today, but my future me, watching these videos and sitting there with a life full of wisdom and stories, that I'll never hold regret, but only a shitload of lessons.
It sounds good.
He's elevated bit fluffy. He just, like some.
Hasn't
I
responded.
replied to that.
I've had Matt, I've had Kyle, and they've all worked out.
I'm just not sure how I feel about it, but like I said, maybe it's something that we need to try.
If I could give myself one piece of advice, future self, past self, current self, it would be to take the ego away from decision making, take the emotion out of decision making, especially when it comes to people and the way people are feeling. I think it's so easy to take offense or take things personally, especially when it's to do with blues and greens. I've worked every waking hour of my life and will continue to, on making blues and greens the way it is and bringing the right people in, creating the right processes, making the service itself fucking amazing. But when you make decisions based on ego or based on emotion, you miss the point. I think naturally as we continue to evolve, I'll continue to be exposed to different characters, people, feelings, that enter blues and greens. What I'm finding now, getting to this scale so quickly that I never would have anticipated of, having over 30 people within the organisation, is that so many people react in so many different ways, so many people act in so many different ways. You got to treat so many people so differently, and not everyone's going to understand the point that you make the same way that someone else may, if that makes sense. And what I'm trying to say is that just because something was said, done, missed, made, it doesn't make it personal. It feels personal because blues and greens feels like it's me. But now what's crazy and what's going to even continue to get crazier is that blues and greens has outgrown me, which is pretty insane. But what that means is that not every decision is made by me. Not every decision that other people make is directed towards me. It feels like I'm sort of just having a bit of an internal journal rant type thing, but I want to make sure moving forward that I'm making decisions, speaking to people based on human connection, based on feeling, based on logic, rather than making it something that is an emotional, ego-driven or reaction. I don't reckon any of that made sense, but it felt good to say. In summary, I got to do what's best for blues and greens, not what's best to make Harry Quayle feel good.
It's time.
When you fucking cook a barbecue, do you use your hands to fucking move the meat?
I don't cook barbecues, if that's what you do.
No, seriously, do you use your hands to cook the meat? No, you use tongs. You get the meat from there to there so you don't burn yourself. Follow me, brother. You are the master entrepreneur. You are.
I am.
You are.
I know. I spent a lot of time this morning just thinking and pondering some thoughts, drinking my coffee, eating my brekkie, and then writing in the journal, and also sitting out, gazing out the window of like, I don't know where I am now and where I want to go and what my North Star is. And it's so easy to get caught up in these emotions of like working. I'm constantly wired. I'm constantly asking myself, what else could I be doing? What more could I be doing? And I've come to realize I just have this obsession with solving problems. From being a young kid doing, Maths Olympiad tournaments, and through high school studying to get good grades, and also just enjoying those deeper conversations with like your friends and solving their problems as such. So I've always had that obsession with the feeling of having a problem and finding an outcome. And I guess now what I'm just doing is that on such a larger scale. I think I just want to realign. Like if I was to talk to myself as a 21-year-old, 2023, starting Blues and Greens, selling clothes and shorts at the time it was, I would probably say the exact same thing that I'm striving towards now. So when I first started Blues and Greens, there's a video. I first started Blues and Greens. I posted on TikTok. And this was before I had my first ever clothing brand launch, but it was around the narrative of wanting to start this to inspire and help people to be their best selves. And I always wanted to be more than a clothing brand. And I never quite knew the direction of that, but like now it's sort of all come together. And I just think it's like such a subtle reminder that in your heart, in your gut, you always know what it is you want to do. The path ahead is always clouded. You don't know what the next step will look like, or let alone the next 10 steps will look like. But back then I still had that same North Star of where I wanted to be and what I wanted to be doing. And in my head, in my belief, every part of me knew that I was going to evolve into something like this, but I just didn't know when. So yeah, I'm just sort of reflecting and just like taking these moments for granted. The opposite. Making sure I don't take these moments for granted, being grateful for these moments. Because yeah, it's pretty cool and just humbling to be in a position where now that 21-year-old kid who had so much delusional belief with no direction now has more than just direction, but like support and belief from other people. And Blues and Greens has outgrown me, and there's people who work towards my mission voluntarily, and I just think that's fucking amazing. And it's, yeah, I just would never have imagined that as a 21-year-old, now being sat here as a 23-year-old, but yeah, I wonder what 53-year-old me is going to have to say about that. Time to get to work. Here comes the rain. It's about to piss down. Look at that. Apart from the fact that it is a beautiful day here in Melbourne, I'm actually about to do my first round of interviews for my social media marketing content operator type job, and thought I'd see what it's like behind the scenes, behind the greens, but also just being able to share my instant thoughts after each interview. I actually found last time I did a round of hiring that the fact that I filmed them, I actually went back and watched how I felt after talking to them and re-listened to like their interview. So that's part of the reason why I want to do it as well, just to capture my instant thoughts and feelings after each person, because it's very easy to collect some bias, recency bias when you interview people. So let's go. My Mac mic ain't working. It always shits itself every couple of days, which is weird. So I'm gonna have to have my headphones on. That's all right. Well, yeah, tell me about maybe obviously you've got your own experience in that, but a time where you produced a marketing campaign, and you've mentioned a few times around engagement. But yeah, sort of keen to hear like what you did versus what you delegated in inputs and outputs, and ultimately the way you measure success. You're in Blues and Greens today. What would be the first changes you'd make, and what shifts would you sort of implement in terms of inputs, and what outcomes would you be expecting or looking for? so many moving parts going on now, and it's given me this sense of genuine excitement. I say it a lot, but like Blues and Greens has outgrown me, but now it's like really coming into fruition now as I make decisions which aren't anything to do with me, but it's to do with like Blues and Greens, and that involves bringing people in, expanding what's already exists, and there's always that sense of nervousness, but like for good or for bad, the way I operate, maybe I always will be this way, is I chase that feeling of nervousness. I chase that feeling of like having an empty feeling in your gut, because you know you're taking something slightly risky or slightly uncomfortable, and it makes me feel alive. And to do anything great, to achieve anything that your heart sets out to, you've always got to make a jump. And the bigger the jump, the bigger the risk, but that's what life's about. Chatting shit now. I've got a broken rib, so I don't really have the energy. Broke my rib in boxing, still fighting though. But that's a week. And if you're watching, thank you. Thank you for taking a moment out of your day, week, and life to consume my journey. And ultimately, I'm filming these and getting these made up and posted for the future version of me, the one that is sitting on his happy hill with his family or whatever it is he's doing, and maybe just wants to see the hunger and the spark that young me had, and the journey that I went on to, when I'm older, looking back and being like, wow, how awesome is that? So that's why I'm here. Naturally, a few other people are going to watch along too, so share it with someone. Share this video with someone who you feel as though may like to watch along the journey of Blues and Greens. But I'll see you when I'm looking at you next.